Hi there, it's Kevin with RogueDeckBuilder.com here with a Magic Gathering Core 2020 pre-release pack opening. So this is coming out this Friday. They moved the Friday Night Magic, or excuse me, the pre-release to Friday from now on instead of at midnight. You can now hold them at 3 p.m. I believe. So we're going to be doing one at 3 p.m. on July 5th here at Gone Rogue Games in Richfield, Utah. So if you're in the area, definitely come join us for a Core Set 2020 pre-release. So I played a couple of these on Arena already. I don't know how I feel about the format. It feels very similar to like Core 2019, where you get pushed into some vanilla creatures, smashing into vanilla creatures for the limited environment. But I did have like one really awesome black-white life gain deck on MTG Arena that did very, very good. Had both the Johnny and the 2/3 Johnny Pridemate Flying Vampire. So that was kind of fun. No oversized dice. Are they like oversized dice? I heard somewhere that they sometimes contain in pre-release packs. I don't know. We just get the generic M20 dice. Nothing fun there. With the foil being the shared summons, so you search your library for up to 2 creature cards with different names, reveal them, put them in your hand, then shuffle your library. Pretty decent for a limited, but in constructed, this is a poor Court of Calling. You can go get 2 combo pieces with this card at instant speed, and then if you have ways to then give them haste through like Samut, there is infinite combos possible with this card to tutor up 2 combos that work together, cast them, win the game if your opponent taps out. So don't discount the shared summons. It's a decent card. We'll probably be playing it in the format, or in the limited if we are into green. All right, let's start with the packs. There are no seeded packs or anything like that, so let's just get into it. We'll kind of fan through these, and we'll try to build a deck as we go. So we have Soul Salvage. I am a fan of Soul Salvage in limited. I think it's a very strong card. It's a 2-for-1. It basically is like a stronger divination because you're not getting random cards. You're getting the best 2 cards in your graveyard in a format where it can grind out, and especially this particular format, this is a very, very potent card. I actually like this more than in Dominaria, and there are some cool combos with it. If you get the blue 7-drop that returns 2 instants or sorceries back from your graveyard, it's a pretty good combo with Soul Salvage. Moorland Inquisitor is actually a pretty decent 2-drops. 2-drops do matter in this format. They can get blanked by like 1/3s and whatnot, but I do find the Moorland Inquisitor, especially if you're going into white, being a great bear, and the ability to give it first strike is fine. The Titanic Rift is basically just garbage. We'll just kind of put that out of the way. You're not going to play it except in very niche situations. Destroy land and creatures can't block this turn. Maybe if you're in an aggro-based strategy, this could go into the deck, but I still think it's pretty poor, and even in aggro, you'd want some sort of benefit besides just creatures can't block. Some people have said it's better than I think it is with destroying a land in a 3-color deck, possibly cutting them out, and it can, if the board does get really clogged, theoretically you can swing in for lethal for that turn, but I don't like to go for that. So here's a card I don't like in the format, which is Barony Vampire. The problem is there's a lot of bears in this format, so a 3/2 for 3 just gets clunked up by just a 2/2 or a 2/1. So I do not like this card. I'll kind of set it aside here. The Greenwood Sentinel, there's another bear, perfectly acceptable. Vigilance Bear, another entering back in the mix. Frilled Serpent, we saw this from Core 2019, and the Sedge Scorpion get a reprint. This is a pretty good. Usually they've been putting these in black lately, but a 1/1 Death Touch for green is good to push through damage or just play defensively. I actually do pick these up for the 20 to 24 slot for the draft, I'm sure. I'll be picking those up. We have the Lavakin Brawler. It gets +1 material into turn for each elemental you control, which can be decent in elemental deck. It actually does trigger off itself, right? Because it's for each. So it is a 3/4 when it attacks, which is fine for 4 mana. A little bit filler, though. It's one of those cards that's on your top end of both your curve in an aggro deck and as well as on draft. You're going to be picking those up kind of late. I actually do like Unsummon in this format. There's a lot of pump spells. There's a lot of enchantments. A lot of times you can end up 2-for-1ing and setting your opponent back on curve. Unsummon is a very good card in this. The Nestcaster Spiders and Nests are evil. A lot of flying in this format, so definitely you want to pick up a few either reach creatures or this one in particular, Netcaster is fine. Manifold Key is okay if you have an artifact where you can make this work, like a Steel Overseer, of course, or just something you can get some sort of benefit out of. The one that comes to mind where I like the Manifold Key the most with is with the blue artifact where you can return a creature in all auras to your hand with Manifold Key, and then a 2/1 flying draw card. I mean, you can start getting a lot of value out of it. And the ability to have a creature not be blocked this turn is also pretty relevant in this format. Again, though, it's nothing exciting unless you do have combos with it. The Ancestral Blade enters the battlefield. You create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, then attach Ancestral Blade to it, and then the equipped creature gets +1/+1. It's pretty okay with a living weapon. You get a 2/2 basically for 2 mana, so it's just a strictly better bear that then can be equipped after it dies to something else. So we have the Chandra Novice Pyromancer, which is pretty decent for elemental creatures. Get +2/+0 plus the add the 2 mana, and it deals 2 damage to any target. So this is actually pretty good in like an elemental strategy. We have a couple elementals off the bat. Not bad. The Repeated Reverberation, 4 mana. Whenever next time you cast an instant or sorcery spell or activate a loyalty ability, you can copy it. A decent little synergy right there, Chandra. If we get any sort of really high-powered instant sorceries, that could definitely go in here. And the Swiftwater Cliff is a good sign for my favorite 2 colors of this pack so far is blue and red. So we do have a blue-red way to fix it with an elemental token, so that's good omens for us going forward into the elemental strategy. So far I'd be looking to build the elemental or blue-red with the cards I have in pack 1. Feral Invocation in Flash +2/+2 gives it actually more playable than just another enchantment that just gives +2/+2, because it can be a combat trick plus something that sticks on. Pretty decent in the format with bears. So I mean, the Greenwood Sentinel is a favorite combo with this on curve, turning into 4/4. A lot of times your opponent's looking to trade on turn number 3 with their 2-drop they put out. You put the Feral Invocation on your Greenwood Sentinel. It then makes your bear into a bigger creature as well as kill their blocker. We have the Unholy Indenture. Whenever enchanted creature dies, you return that card to the battlefield under your control with +1 with counter on it. This card is actually pretty decent in the format. Putting on your opponent's creature and then murdering it and then getting it back. I've actually lost to that. A couple of my bombs were taken over by this Unholy Indenture. So again, normally in a format I wouldn't like a card like that, but this is a very clunky format for limited. Steadfast Sentry, another nice little filler. Whenever it dies, you put a +1 with counter. It's a 3/2 vigilance for 3 mana. Not a bad card, not a filler card. I don't like playing Act of Treasons in these type of formats. Possibly there's a implication for it. Same thing with Marauder's Axe. Marauder's Axe definitely is not as good in this format as it is in the past one with a bunch of 1-drops that were very relevant in white. However, there is a 1/1 flying for 1 where Marauder's Axe could be pretty legitimate, and blue flyers I think is where it fits the best. There's a 2/1 flyer for 4. Do not like this card in the format. Just too expensive for what it does. Shock still in the format. Rabid Bite's pretty good. Sedge Scorpion already has a combo for the deck. Keldon Raider, one of my favorite filler cards, just makes your cards better by either discarding a land or trying to draw towards a land. 4/3 for 4 mana. A pretty decent card. Metropolis Sprite. So here's one of the with the flyers with Marauder's Axe, which isn't terrible. To go an evasive strategy, hook up an axe. Then we do get the Murder. So we got the combo with the Unholy Indenture to murder, and the Blood for Bones, which is also pretty decent by sacrificing a creature, return a creature. Little fun little combo if you have enough mana is the Act of Treason for the Blood for the Bones. It just ends up being a lot of value off of those 2 cards. We have the Rapacious Dragon, 3/3 for 5 mana, and it enters battle, creates 2 treasure tokens. Definitely not a bad card. Ramps you up to that like 7, and there are quite a few 7-8 mana cards that are actually relevant, or just this. Sometimes you get a deck that is very greedy on mana. Warden of Evos Isles, decent little flying strategy we got going on if we can pick up some more. And a Hanged Executioner, very good, decent. You get a 1/1 spirit creature token as well as a 1/1 flyer for 3 mana, as well as this can then be exiled to destroy your opponent's best creature. So at least you leave back a 1/1 flyer and take care of their bomb. So again, we have some pretty decent, I think all card colors now with the second pack are pretty much even. I would give this slight edge to probably black-blue here now. Maybe black-red. Blue-red still pretty good, and the white got much better with these particular packs. Green, I think, is lacking behind just because nothing really stands out. We got Rapid Bite plus a Sedge Scorpion, but again, it's just, the curve is nice, though, so far for green. So sometimes you just build a deck based upon the curve. All right, let's go on to the next pack, which is the Audacious Thief. Whenever this attacks, you draw a card and lose life. Very, very good if you can keep their board clear. This can give you a lot of advantage. I'm surprised this is a common. It feels like a very, very powerful card for a common effect. Can get shocked, of course, but again, you want to clear the board, maybe give it unblockable with the Manifold Key, and you can get a lot of card advantage. It doesn't even have to deal combat damage to your opponent. Just needs to attack. Not bad. Not a bad card whatsoever. The Chaplain gets a reprint, which is also a decent combo with the Marauder's Axe, so keep that in mind. We have a decent green, like a green-white aggro, which don't ever underestimate that. Maniacal Rage is in the wrong color for being an enchantment, in my opinion. It can make your aggressive deck a little more aggressive, but red is kind of awkward in this format, M20. It has a weird curve with a lot of late-game stuff, a lot of early-game stuff, and things that just don't meld too well. So, I don't like Maniacal Rage in this particular format. Another Soul Salvage, pretty decent. Another pacifism, very good card. Ferocious Pup is fine in a go-wide strategy. Inspiring Charges in this set, so giving anything +2/+2 with Ferocious Pup ends up making basically 4 damage off one card. You get a 2/2 and a 0/1. Nice little card to blink or return back to your hand with specific cards that can do that. I actually like this card in this format. There's a lot of ways that this can actually be better than its initial just, a 2/3 for 3 mana. Destructive Digger, you sacrifice an artifact or land to draw a card. Not too terrible. There are a couple artifacts that do want to be sacrificed in this format. Hey, camera focus. There we go. However, 3/2 for 3 mana is fine, and it just has an upside to it. Great way late game to sacrifice unnecessary lands and then get back in the game. Winged Words is actually pretty decent in a flying deck. It's basically a Divination -1. So 2 mana to draw cards is mountains ahead of 3 mana draw 2 cards. So Thicket Crasher, kind of filler, okay for elementals by giving them trample. 4/3 for 4 mana is fine. The Goblin Ringleader, we do have another Goblin. This is hard to make in a sealed deck. You reveal the top 4 cards of the library, put all goblins revealed in your hand. Haste 2/2, but it's gonna be very, very tough to make it work in a sealed deck. Meteor Golem's fine. It's going to go in every deck basically unless you're really curving out aggro. So far, I'm liking this in the black reanimation strategy. I'm leaning towards black-white now so far. And the Howling Giant enters the battlefield. You create 2/2 green wolf creature tokens. This is a particularly strong card in like an inspiring charge type deck to go wide. We have a couple go wide Ferocious Pup, Howling Giant. You get like Raise the Alarms. It's a decent little strategy when the board gets clogged with Inspiring Charge to just swing in for lethal. And a Cage is very, very filler in this thing. Good modern card, very filler here. Foil, Forest, and a Blossoming Sands for the lands with the zombie token. All right, now we're going to go on to the next pack, and I am being long-winded with this, but I think these do make better deck tech videos than they do just opening packs. I'm sure we'll open some packs for profit or loss, so be looking for those. But we got the Raise Alarm. Now, if we've seen an Inspiring Charge, it could make me go into green-white. I think we have a pretty solid green-white strategy. The Heartpiercer Bow, not a fan of this particular card. There are some one toughness creatures in the format that are pesky, like the Death Toucher. However, this one, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of the Heartpiercer Bow. I think it's just too much work for a little gain that you can get from it. Sometimes this is very irrelevant. Dress is fine. More of a sideboard card in this format. All right, Inspiring Captain does give all creatures +1/+1 in the Go Wide strategy. This is definitely one of the cards. And Griffin Protector. So we got 2 of the Go Wide strategies to kind of meld in with green-white. Get to Paradise is fine. It's gaining 3 life and adding 2 mana of your color, so if you need to ramp up to those 7 drops, sure, I can see it. We do have a Chandra with the Ember Cat. So we have Chandra's Ember Cat that can ramp towards our Chandra. It's all right. A 3/4 elemental for 5 mana, a Wolfkin Bond. I actually don't like this card just because it's a 2/2 wolf and the enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for 5 mana. It's just a liability. At that point, the 2/2 token is not going to do a lot on turn number 5, and potentially buffing up a creature is also not going to do a lot. Frostlinks, very good card for both elementals and sort of a blue tempo strategy. We have the Bloodthirsty Aerialist, which is a very, very good card in life gain, and we kind of have some life gain cards, not too many though. Dragon Mage, it's the 7-drop. When it ever deals combat damage, each player discards their hand and then draws 7 cards. Both players get to do it. It's just a liability. You're helping your opponent as much as you. Get a 5/5 flying. I guess that's relevant. Meh. We have the renowned Weaponsmith that came back. We do have the Heartpiercer Bow, so that does increase the value of the Weaponsmith in this particular deck. You can spend 2 to activate artifacts. We have or to cast artifacts. We do have the Meteor Golem. I don't know. This might push me more towards blue-black now, as like blue-black or green-white is so far the colors I like, and unfortunately our rare goes to a Temple of Triumph. You can't ask for a worse rare, because I actually think these are pretty much 6s in the format. Gaining a life or scrying is pretty much the same, so I mean, this is basically common power in this set, so pretty unhappy about that. The next pack we have hopefully can find us, can solidify us in a a strategy, either green or white. So here's another go wide with the squad captain. 2/2 enters the battlefield +1 counter for every creature control. It can get pretty big with Raise the Alarms. The Sanitarium Skeleton is a great blocker early on. It can come back. Yoked Ox is pretty bad for the strategy that we want to go. Zephyr Charge is pretty bad for a lot of our creatures having flying. The Leafkin Druid is good to ramp. We do have some cards that do want to ramp. It can really ramp into our 7-drop or our Meteor Golem. This is definitely something we have to keep in mind. Reckless Airstrike is a sideboard card by dealing damage to creatures flying or destroying an artifact. Color Blue is fine. It's a counterspell for 3 mana. You don't want too many of these in your deck though, but one's acceptable. Griffin Sentinel's fine to go wide strategy. It's 1/3 flyer. It's got evasiveness. Fortress Crab, not what I want. Centaur Corsair is fine with the curve. 2-drop and a 3-drop can be very strong in this format. The Gauntlet of Light, which enchanted creature gets +0/+2 and in science combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power, and then has 3 mana to untap this creature. So yeah, it's okay. There is an infinite combo with this card in Standard right now. What you have to have is Incubation Druid with a counter on it, as well as the Leyline out, and then you can go infinite mana with the Gauntlets of Light. So I'm thinking actually building a deck around this, an Incubation Druid and Marwyn, just to netting up a bunch of mana with this, but it's probably going to be pretty bad. Anyway, with this particular deck, I don't know if there's any creatures we'd want to put this on. Scuttlement's a fine ramp card. Again, I'd probably play it with Meteor Golem at the moment. I don't know, it's not too appealing. Amber Holler, Lit's Nice and Goblins, deals 2 damage to any target. This has been a favorite goblin of mine. I'm glad I got a reprint. It's 2/2 for 2 mana, and then you can sacrifice to shock something. We have another Shared Summons, which 2 rares in the same thing, a foil version and non-foil. I mean, it's card advantage, instant speed. You can get your cards. There isn't anything particularly want out of this though. I mean, it's a lot of filler out of green. I mean, green is solid, but white doesn't really have bombs, has a few utility. I'm assuming we want to get the 7-drop eventually, and maybe the Inspiring Captain together. I don't know. Kind of weak packs. The problem now is we're heavy on these 2 colors, which might be the only way we can build a deck. Red got a little more appealing with this Ember Holler, but it still seems lacking. I still like the blue, but blue and black just seems like there are less cards to even work with. We're going to have to definitely rely on our artifacts to get some of the... I don't know. I think right now, without this pack, it would be green-white would be the I'd have to go. Epicure of Blood's fine if you can get a good lifelink strategy. So far, we don't have it. Aerial Assault finally is some creature removal. Sorcery Speed, though, is very awkward. It has to be tapped. Very, very awkward. And it's not going to really gain as much life. We have the Healer of the Glade, fine, little 1/2 for 1 mana, gains 3 life. Bone Splinter's great. This is another way for us to destroy anything. We also have the Sanitarium Skeleton that works with it. Fire Emblem's fine. Bone to Ash is actually pretty decent by countering a creature spell and drawing a card. The Gorging Vulture is good in a life gain strategy. Kind of a liability if you have multiples of these for milling yourself. That's actually happened already on MTG Arena. The Scorch Spitter is fine with when it attacks. It's basically 2/1 attacks for 1 mana. It's pretty aggressive. It's also an elemental. The Bright Red Tracker is probably what we're looking for now. Now it's something that we can utilize the mana that we can get from the Scuttlements and the other ways to ramp to really find a lot of creatures. Yeah, I think green, this is a very, very awkward deck. It's very weak. This is exactly what I'm talking about with the limited environment of Core 2020. Feels very, very lackluster as far as like decks that are all over the place and you can't really put anything together. We have another Goblin, making our Goblin strategy look appealing. Draft is a whole nother story. Like draft, going Goblins and getting some of these cards early could probably make a pretty good Goblin deck. Why do they make Ogres in a Goblin set? It just kind of fills up the space. This should be a Goblin. Give us more Goblin options. Gravedigger's a great card. Extremely good card. I could actually see us going green-black, to be honest. I think green-black is the color combination I'm liking now. The Ogre Siegebreaker, 4 mana, destroy target creature that was dealt damage this turn. We do have some combos with this, with the Manifold Key, or sorry, excuse me, not the Manifold Key, the Heartpiercer Bow. Ogre Siegebreaker, it does have that combination just to then start killing off creatures, as well as, yeah, that's all we have with the combos there. So I don't know. kind of, it's a great card in those color combinations, but I don't think this is the color combination we'd go with this particular list. We have the Brindborn Cutthroat, 2 mana for a 2/1 flash. Whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, put a +1 counter on Brindborn Cutthroat. Good with the flash type. We're just kind of low on. It's good with counter spells too. I like this card in constructed, but in limited, it's probably, and it's fine. It's 2/1 flash for 2 mana and gets bigger and bigger. Yeah, it's actually not that bad. And we have Steel Overseer, which is, of course, a very, very good card in the right shell. Unfortunately, with our kind of shell, it's pretty bad. And we have another Sifwater Cliffs. So all in all, I think that if I were going to build this deck, we'd go into green-black. I just don't see us going white. Has, you know, not enough to really push us there. Pacifism's okay. We have a lot of filler here. The Hanged Executioner's fine. But, like, filler. I'd even say Raising Alarms is pretty filler. Area Assault's an awkward card. Gauntlet's Light doesn't really work. Filler. The Squad Captain is not even that great for how much money you spent into it. Sparring Captain, I don't think we had enough to go wide to make it worthwhile. If we look at the green, I am a fan of like the Brightwood Tracker, especially in sealed. I think it's very, very good. The Centaur Corsair is fine. I mean, we have sort of like a life gain strategy that might make me want to go into a life gain. Howling Giant's fine to get up there. I probably wouldn't be playing something like the Thicket Crasher. Let me get back in focus here. The Ferocious Pup is fine. Rapid Bite's good. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'd have to add another color. Maybe go into Sultai. Maybe go into Jund. Jund actually does get pretty good. The other option we could go is into Grixis. The fixing's kind of bad at that point for Grixis, though. Yeah, I don't see enough here to really make us want to go into blue. Again, a lot of weird filler. A lot of things that just don't really stand out. Pretty bad packs in general. I think the strongest color is going to be black. You have things like the Gravedigger. You have the Bone Splinter. The Bloodthirsty Aerialist can get pretty good. We have double Soul Salvages, Murder. Like green-black, being able to reanimate a bunch of your bigger threats and eventually go over the top of your opponent looks like it's the route to go, especially when we need to reanimate the Meteor Golem. Probably is the win. So green-black control would be the nod for me. I mean, if I were to make a deck very quickly here, just by sight of what I would do, I would run the Steel Overseer just because it's a card that can get itself out of hand. Probably wouldn't go with the Marauder's Axe. I would definitely go with the Bone Splinter, the Gravedigger. Gorging Vulture actually does work good with Soul Salvage. Got that kind of little combo there. Probably end up playing the Thirsty Aerialist. Probably not the Epicure. Sanitarium Skeleton's fine. Audacious Thief is great. The Blade Blows is great. The Unholy Indenture is great. Probably wouldn't play this filler. Probably would play the Ramp. Wouldn't play. And Manifold Keys might be okay. I do have the Steel Overseer. I'd put it over here. There's some combos. And out here we go the Howling Giant. We go to the 2 Shared Summons. Maybe Gift of Paradise, maybe not, depending if I felt like I need to ramp. A 3/3 is fine for 3 mana. A 2/4 is fine for 4 mana. The Healer's fine. The Leafkin Druid's fine. Wouldn't play the Wolfkin. Wouldn't play the Thicket Crasher. Probably the Ferocious Pup is fine. Rapid Bite, the Sedge Scorpion, and the Green Wood Sentinel. So let's just count them up here to see how many cards I'd end up with. Again, I don't see us really going into red. Red could be a splash for the Ogre Siegebreaker and a few other things like the Chandra. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23. Yeah, even this would probably require a few cuts. 24 would be pretty decent. At that point, if I was going to splash, maybe like the Chandra. We do have like a Murder, so the repeated reverberation isn't terrible, but it's also not that great. I don't know. 7 mana to get rid of 3 things. I'd have to mull it over. But there's not a lot also from red that really would be too interesting to splash for besides that Chandra and the Ogre Siegebreaker. So, yep, I'd go green-black, and very, very unexciting deck. However, I've seen worse in sealed. In fact, in the right Pilot's Hand, I'm sure you can do pretty good. The one silver lining of this deck is you have multiple ways, once you go up to 7 mana, to really take care of your opponent's bombs, and eventually you can just grind them out. You have a lot of card advantage through the 2 promos of the Shared Summons to get you exactly what you need, and the Soul Salvage with the Meteor Golem all of them just over and over and over. Kind of long video for this Core 2020, but I hope you enjoyed my analysis. I do consider myself more of a limited player than a constructed player, especially now. Haven't enjoyed Standard or Modern in a while. Don't play as much Magic as I used to, but you know, I'm still here, still lurking, still playing some decks, been brewing in Core 2020. Lots of fun brew cards. Hope you've seen my top 10 video for cards that I want to brew around. I'm going to be going on vacation here, so you won't see any videos from me, but after that, we're going to hit it hard. Gonna brew. Got an editor on board. He's doing a fantastic job, so I'm thinking I'm going to be streaming some arena games and then have him compile it into YouTube videos with kind of the highlights. I think it will make a pretty decent little video. Hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Kevin with Rogue Deck Builder. Thanks for watching.